Hello, my name is Dave Garcia, and I'm the superintendent for the Empire Union School District. Welcome and thank you for viewing the Empire Union School District's first stakeholder information and input presentation. With this presentation, we will review what the new Common Core is. In addition, we will share the local control funding formula, known as the LCFF, and we will take the first steps to begin creating our district's local control accountability plan. Let's begin with a brief overview of the Common Core. Whereas each state previously had its own set of expectations, which resulted in potentially significant differences in student learning from state to state, 46 states and the District of Columbia have now adopted the Common Core state standards. In addition, Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands, the American Samoa Islands, and the Mariana Islands have also freely adopted the standards. The Common Core state standards set clear goals. Rather than broad and vague, they are specific about what students should know and be able to do at each grade level in each content area. The Common Core standards are consistent. What one student learns in the 5th grade in one state is the same thing that a student learns in the 5th grade in another state. This is also true from school to school. If your child were to transfer from one school to another, the expectations and learning standards would now be the same. The Common Core state standards set high learning goals. They require students to go beyond the surface of a long list of topics and support in-depth study and understanding of key concepts and skills. The learning goals are intended to help students make real-world applications and to adequately prepare them for higher education and career pathways. They seek to make our children global competitors. Parents and community members need to be aware of and support the potential change in the level and quality of work that is expected of their children. It is a student's right to have options to attend college and to be adequately prepared for careers. In order to help students achieve these goals, it is important that parents support the efforts of the school to challenge students more. Colleges, universities, and technical training programs have a vested interest in the standards as well. When students journey into post-secondary ventures, they should be academically ready to engage in learning that will lead them to success, not trying to learn or relearn concepts that should have already been taught K-12. Currently, too many students enter these programs not prepared to take college-bearing courses, which leads to a significant loss of time and money. The Common Core standards allow more time to focus on what matters most. Focusing on what matters most means teachers and students are able to slow down and go in-depth with their learning. The Common Core standards offer an opportunity to take time for authentic learning instead of rushing through concepts. What will this look like? For example, in mathematics, certain topics may no longer be included. Instead, students will have time to really develop understanding and fluency with key mathematics skills and concepts. In literacy, more time to focus means students may spend a lot of time with a particular text, reading and rereading it closely to gain meaning. As we think about what it takes to help students become ready for college and careers, there are major changes or shifts in the way teachers will teach. The shifts represent what the standards now expect students to learn and teachers to teach. They are the headlines that describe some of what will change. The shifts in English language arts literacy are as follows. Shift 1. The first shift focuses on the need to incorporate more nonfiction text into the curriculum. This expectation is different from what is typically taking place in classrooms, where students mostly read stories. Reading nonfiction prepares your children for reading text that can support their learning about the world around them. Nonfiction reading has historically been the type of reading that students struggle with the most. The only way students can get better at it is to practice more with the support from their teachers. As we talk about building knowledge and incorporating more nonfiction into the curriculum, parents can expect students to see more emphasis on literacy in science, social studies, and history. Shift 2. As in careers and education beyond high school, students need to be able to respond to, write, and speak, citing evidence about information they read. Such use of evidence in reading, writing, and speaking is essential to success in nearly all pathways following K-12 education. Shift 3. In the research about college and career readiness that informed the development of the Common Core standards, it was determined that standards in literacy need to address not only the skills of literacy, but also the level of text students read. In other words, not just how students read, but what they read. To address this issue, the standards include expectations for the complexity of text students read in each grade. The features of the text that make it complex include vocabulary, sentence structure, and the subject and theme of the text. Parents can support students with the Common Core shifts in English language arts literacy at home. As students read, parents can read the same material and have conversations with their children that are focused on the text. Give children multiple opportunities to engage in reading about things that interest them, especially informational text, biographies, historical nonfiction, hobbies, sports, science topics, etc. If your children are interested in games, have them read information about who invented the game, when it was invented, or have them explain step-by-step procedures to make their games operate in a certain manner. If they are interested in different historical figures, athletes, or science topics, encourage them to read books or articles that relate to those people. As children inquire about different concepts or become curious about certain topics, encourage them to research their own questions by doing a web search and reading news articles or books to help them find out new information. There are also changes in expectations and instruction for math. These three shifts demonstrate the way in which teaching and learning will change with the Common Core state math standards designed to help students achieve their goals of college and career readiness. Shift 1, focus. Focus means making room in the curriculum so that students have time to develop a foundation in the important math concepts and skills that they need to continue learning more advanced math concepts and skills. Year after year, international studies demonstrate that the United States is behind other higher performing countries in math achievement. In those countries, students focus on doing fewer math concepts well, which supports the development and deeper understanding and greater confidence in math. Rather than a list of math topics appearing year after year, over and over again, each year the Common Core standards provide a more focused list of math concepts that students experience in depth. Shift 2, coherence. Coherence is about math making sense. The Common Core state standards are connected in a purposeful way so that the students have a learning experience that bridges the concepts they learn within and across grades. Shift 3, rigor. In building mathematics proficiency, there are three elements. Students need to understand math concepts. Students need to perform the procedures with fluency. And students need to apply math to real-world situations. All three elements are important in developing deep understanding, and each requires specific classroom experiences. These are some ideas to support children at home with the Common Core shifts in math. Working with your child on basic math facts such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division will help improve students' speed and accuracy in math. This could involve a variety of opportunities from flashcards to games including dice and cards. Encourage your child not to give up on math problems, but finish them to completion. This will help build their stamina for solving multi-step problems that they will be required to engage in at school. Encourage children to engage in math games or test their skills with online math challenges that are timed. Many students can get the answers to the math problems, but have a difficult time explaining their thinking behind the answer. Encouraging your child to talk the math out and show their work or thinking helps them to demonstrate their conceptual understanding of math. Helping children to see math in action at home creates a real-world experience and application for math skills. Try measuring ingredients, measuring objects around the house, calculating the area of a room to input furniture, or analyzing sports statistics.
Another new shift effective in the 2013-14 school year was the implementation of a new funding model for K-12 schools and community colleges. My name is Pam Wall. I am the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. I will be sharing with you this new funding formula known as the Local Control Funding Formula, often referred to as the LCFF. The key purpose of the LCFF is to provide equity among all school districts in the state of California and to allocate additional resources for students with greater needs. Additional resources are provided for students that are eligible for free and reduced price meals program, English learners, and foster youth. Another purpose of the LCFF is to provide local control and decision making by involving members of the community. The LCFF will promote accountability and transparency. In addition, budgets will now be aligned with the instructional programs through an accountability plan. The LCFF was enacted as part of the Budget Act for 2013-14 under Assembly Bill 97. The LCFF makes fundamental changes to how the state allocates revenues to the schools. The previous funding formula had not changed in approximately 40 years. It is estimated that it will take approximately 8 years, starting in 2013-14, to fully fund the LCFF. At full implementation, the LCFF will fund every student at the same base rate. It provides a base rate with 2 weighting factors applied against it. For each eligible student, which are low income, English learners, or foster youth, the district will receive an additional 20% of the base grant. The second weighting factor is an additional 50% of the base grant for eligible students exceeding 55% of total enrollment. Each school district receives at least as much state aid in future fiscal years as the district received in 2012-13. The LCFF also requires alignment with the instructional program of the district. Therefore, the Local Control Accountability Plan, also referred to as the LCAP, is now a requirement. Every district in California will begin with the same base grant. However, the final state funding calculation will be uniquely different among districts. The 2013-14 base grants for grades K through 3 is $6,952, for grades 4 through 6, $7,056, and grades 7 through 8, $7,266. The first adjustment will be for districts that make progress toward a maximum site average of 24 students in grades K through 3. If this is achieved, the district will receive an additional 10.4% of the K3 base grant, or an additional $723 per student, for a total of $7,675 per K3 student. The 2 weighting factors applied to the base grant are the supplemental and concentration grants. These grants are applied based on eligible students. Those students are English learners, students eligible for the free and reduced price meal program, and foster youth. The supplemental grant amount is 20% of the base grant for each eligible student. The concentration grant amount is 50% of the base grant for each eligible student that exceeds 55% of enrollment. How does the LCFF work? A calculation was completed for the 2012-13 school year, including state aid revenues and certain categorical allocations, to determine the base funding level. Then a calculation is completed using the formula mentioned on the previous slides to determine the district's maximum funding level. This funding level is called the target funding. Currently, the state does not have enough money to pay every district their target funding. The state is estimating it will take 8 years to fully fund this funding gap, beginning with the 2013-14 fiscal year. The chart demonstrates the difference between Empire Union School District's 2012-13 base funding year and the 2020-21 target funding year. The state is projecting revenues will be sufficient to fund a percentage of the funding gap each year so that in 2020-21 all districts will be fully funded.
My name is Andrew Kirsten, and I am the Assistant Superintendent of Instructional Services and Special Education. We will now take a look at the Local Control Accountability Plan, also known as the LCAP. This is a plan that is required by the California Department of Education that essentially provides a roadmap for how the Empire Union School District is going to serve all of our students, with an emphasis on our socioeconomically disadvantaged students, our English learners, and our foster youth. The regulations for the LCAP were approved January 17, 2014. The template that we are required to use will be officially released by March 31st and must be adopted by our school board by June 30th. The LCAP will address a 3-year period and will be updated annually. 3 intentions of the LCAP are to gather stakeholder engagement, establish goal and progress indicators, and to identify actions, services, and expenditures. With this presentation, we will focus on stakeholder engagement. Stakeholder engagement has been defined as an ongoing system through which education leaders meaningfully connect with, learn from, and communicate with individuals and groups. We will involve stakeholders throughout the entire process of developing the LCAP. The Empire Union School District greatly appreciates your time and input as we partner to meet the needs of our students. Our process includes consultation with all stakeholders, an opportunity for all stakeholders to review a draft LCAP, opportunities for public input throughout the process, and final adoption of the plan by June 30th, 2014. In addition, our superintendent, Mr. Dave Garcia, will respond in writing to all comments received on the district website. As we prepare to begin documenting your input, let's be more specific about the input that we are asking for from each of you. Although we focus equally on all students, our funding is based on specific subgroups of students and priorities established by the State Board of Education. Specifically, our supplemental and concentration grants are based on our English learners and our socioeconomically disadvantaged students, which includes all foster youth. The 8 priority areas established by the California Department of Education that must be addressed in the LCAP include student engagement, other student outcomes, parental involvement, course access, the Common Core state standards, basic services, school climate, and student achievement. We would now like to invite you to answer 3 overarching questions. The first is, what should your child's school and/or the Empire Union School District do to provide all students with the best possible learning environment? The second is, what information should your child's school and/or the Empire Union School District provide to demonstrate that all students are college and career ready? And the third is, what can your child's school and/or the Empire Union School District do to help parents and students become and stay more engaged in school on a daily basis? You may provide your inputs on the 3 questions 3 different ways. You may write your responses on the posters around the room. You may write your responses on the paper provided and available at each school site, or you may go to the Empire Union School District website and post your responses on the LCAP blog. You may use the same methods to ask any questions that you may have. Our superintendent will respond to all comments and questions on the district's website blog. If you do not have access to the internet, you may contact your school's office and they will make arrangements for you to access the website through a school computer. Finally, we would appreciate it if you would answer the additional questions that address the 8 state priorities. You may answer those on the paper provided or on the district's website. Again, our district superintendent will answer all comments and questions on the website as well. For more information about much of what we have discussed, please see the resources listed. And again, thank you from the Empire Union School District for your involvement in our LCAP process.